We are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. The 2024 U.S. election sparks fear in LGBTQ communities as Republicans win, and win big. The community fears that this victory may threaten their civil rights, leading some to consider relocation.
The Our Fund Foundation announces $200,000 in grants for LGBT-focused initiatives in Broward and Miami-Dade counties, aiding mental health, food security, and more.
A transgender woman shares her fears about safety and healthcare access amid election results. Her story highlights the struggles of a trans community under current policies.
Sarah McBride creates history as the first openly transgender U.S. Congressmember, wins Delaware seat, marking a pivotal moment for trans visibility and queer representation.
While much of the news today is difficult for the LGBTQ community, there are some silver linings. We're going to tell you the LGBTQ highlights we can get behind in South Florida, and in America. Good evening. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening television news broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels. We are proud to announce that YouTube has recognized Queer News Tonight, certified by analytics company vidIQ, and we now have more than 10 million views on the only daily live queer news show in the world. We are proud that we have more than 1,000 new subscribers in October, and that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida. Over 500,000 of you have watched this show in the last 60 days. We thank you for watching and support our voice in our community. It is Wednesday, November 6, 2024. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell you this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live, daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in the LGBTQ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out television network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBT community. Our mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBT community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, senior students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ plus experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ plus and broader community.
And now, let's meet tonight's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Dino Mosquera. He joined the Miami Gay and Lesbian Film Festival in the late 90s. Oh, wow. And now serves on the Outshine Film Festival's board of directors. Welcome, Dino.
Thank you, Mama.
That's it?
That's
you
it.
On TV and that's all you got to say?
Well, you look stunning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Now let's welcome Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 plus years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. And I am castable. He is an advocate for LGBTQ rights. He is proud to be living the dream here in Wilton Manors, serving on a city advisory board and ongoing civic project initiatives as a dedicated volunteer. Now, Larry, the Peyton Heart Project is sending handmade hearts with messages worldwide to remind people they are loved and that there is hope. They need volunteers to knit and crochet the hearts. Tell me, what's happening?
Yeah, just to give you a little background, Bonnie and team, you know, the project was created back in 2015. A young man, James Peyton, committed suicide in 2014. And two women that I know from New Jersey, a lesbian couple, helped co-found that with his father, David Peyton, Jill Harris Reynolds, and Sue Harris Reynolds. And, you know, it's an amazing worldwide initiative. People create the hearts. There are messages in there of hope. I think we need that especially today after the election. But really putting it out there that no one's alone. They do have messages in there as well as the website. So I think it's really something that maybe anyone watching this now or in the future, if you're a crafty person, that's great. You can help, get in touch with them at the Paint and Heart Project. Another thing you can do is if you're not crafty, like I couldn't hold a crochet needle to save my life.
Shake your hands.
My grandmother gave up on me when I tried as a young gay man. So you can.
Have you tried as an old gay man?
I'm not ready. I'm not an old gay man. Nope. So anyway, you can also pay for the shipping, which is available on the website, and they will ship the hearts to you, and you can distribute them wherever you are in the world. So if you want to throw a few in your suitcase, if you're on to Milan or Paris or some destination, or right here in Wilton Manors. But it's a great organization. It's the paintandheartproject.org. And reminder that, if you're alone or you're in distress, you can call 988. One of the events, and I know it's a little bit out of our usual spectrum, but anybody down in Texas, there will be an event May 10th through 12th this year. The Big Texas Food and Music Festival will be held in Conroe, Texas, and the Paint and Heart Project will have presence there. So please check it out.
All right. If you need something to do, check in with Larry.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing this up. You are an incredibly sweet man. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, let's welcome anchor Dr. Tai Houser. He is a professor of English and Humanities at Broward College and teaches in the College of Business at Florida Atlantic University. He has served as a visiting professor at colleges in Bolivia, Brazil, China, India, and Spain, and provides an international viewpoint. Welcome, Tai.
Thank you, Bonnie. I'm so happy you get to sit here next to me.
God, don't ask if it's the same the other way.
Well, no, it just means that I look better. And of course,
no, you lied.
Of course, this is tonight's lead anchor, Bonnie Builder. I love her. She is the premier South Florida bodybuilding drag queen and the forever reigning Mixed Marys Wilton Manors. A recent graduate of FIU, Bonnie Builder is a trainer and comes to life with a microphone, a spotlight, and in the dark room at the bathhouse. Welcome, Bonnie.
It's not that dark when I'm in there. They want to see me. And if you're bored on Wednesdays, you can find me at the Gathering hosting drag trivia. I know we need to distract ourselves at the moment. So if you need a drink, if you need to laugh, if you need to cry, I will meet you at the Gathering on Wednesdays. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today. Now first, this evening, let's queer up the USA view. Election 2024. What is all the talk about LGBTQ moving post-election? As the 2024 U.S. presidential election is over, many Americans are preparing for the upcoming 4 years of the country. As the Republican Party wins, what does the future hold for marginalized communities, particularly LGBTQ plus individuals? Republicans and Democrats have vastly different visions for America's future. From debates over universal health care, viewed by some as a socialist utopia, to conflicting stances on civil rights, taxation, and abortion, the divide is palpable. Some voters push for expanded civil rights while others advocate for stripping LGBTQ protections. In the wake of every election, an Instagram account has made waves with a series of videos recommending countries Republicans and Democrats might want to consider relocating to if the opposition wins. Gay social media is full of posts, comments, and conversations about considerations of moving from one state to another to even another country. Against this backdrop, many in the queer community are beginning to wonder what might happen to their rights and with democracy when Donald Trump takes office again in January 2025. With the prospect of heightened discrimination and legal challenges to hard-won freedoms, it will not be a surprise if some LGBTQ individuals are left wondering if they too will need to seek refuge elsewhere. Donald Trump said today a top priority is to unite all America, and we can only assume he means all. Now, I have a particular stance that some of you may disagree with. The stance of, I don't know what y'all gonna do, but I'm a peace out of here is not a stance that I personally agree with. We are living in a challenging time where our rights are threatened and sometimes our safety is threatened. But if you're in a position where you can fight, I implore you to choose to fight politically. Fight for your freedoms. If you are in a beautiful household and there is a crack in the foundation, please don't just leave the house. Get it fixed. Find some help. We have power in numbers. So if everybody jumps ship, or if most people jump ship, we are leaving this country that has so much potential to the opposition, and we do not want to do that. I personally will not be leaving my home because of the Republican Party. They will not push me out of here. Because on the opposite end, when I do bring up criticism of this country, the first thing they say is, if you don't like it, get out of here. I'm not listening to them. I'm not going anywhere. They will see me. They will hear me. Now, an additional point, I have friends who are obviously shaken by this. There's a lot of people shaken by this, but two friends I want to bring up specifically, my friends Jorge and Hector. They shared a conversation that they had this morning. Now, Jorge and Hector of House of Trouble are engaged to be married, and they had to have a conversation on whether they would have to rush getting married because they don't know if their rights would be taken away to get married. I share a similar concern already being married, if our marriage rights will be compromised in any way. But it was just so disheartening to see an actual conversation from two people I love very much questioning whether they will actually be able to get married. Because when I got married, it was one of the best days of my life. And I do not want that right taken away. So we do need to stay here, and we do need to fight so that we can keep our rights.
But, I totally agree with you. It does hurt, though. It hurts to see people that you love, that you think are family, and happened to me, that, they have no qualms to vote against you. They say they love you and they support you, but they have no problems voting for Donald Trump's agenda. And as a Latino living in Miami-Dade County, this basically, it affects me profoundly. I mean, it's to see how our county has become solidly red and how things are changing. They want everything, every office in Dade County pretty much, and at the local level and state-wise, we also lost everything pretty much. And to see that our county and our state has become so extreme, and it's not just Donald Trump, it's Ron DeSantis, this continues, and things are going to turn for the worse if we need to, continue fighting, of course, but things are not changing anytime soon, not just for the LGBT community. I believe for women's rights and for reproductive rights, this is not going to end here. They're going to go for IVF, for birth control. This is not ending here. And for us, the legalization of gay marriage. So we have a lot to fight about. And it's painful to see people that you think that are your allies and they're not voting to protect you. They're voting against you, knowing what's at stake. And that's pretty painful.
That's true.
I very much want to agree with you. And I think ultimately I do. But I also recognize that there are a lot of us, this guy, we need to take some time to lick our wounds and figure out how to move on. Sure, of course. Can I say, oh, I'm just going to piss off and go play someplace else? Yeah, I can say that. But I don't know that I believe that yet. I need time to think about it. I have a friend who suffered outrageous loss in the last few years. Outrageous loss. And her heart bleeds every day. And for her, I can see the need to kind of disappear now. But when I woke up this morning and I saw her first post, which was, bitches, I'm going to be louder and gayer than I've ever been. Yes, I was like, Mom. There's the strength that you need. There's the strength that she has.
You got to build that thick skin.
And so I'm hoping that we all find that strength somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah, and I agree with you all too. I think, being someone of a generation that went through all the marches on Washington and the parades in New York and fighting for marriage equality, we have to go back, and it's uncomfortable. I was probably living a little bit of a bubble, living in the New York area for many years, and came down here and I was like, what's going on here? We're in a little bubble in Wilton Manors, but the rest of the state's not the same. Mm-hmm. So I really like to think, and I'm hoping that, I know he won't watch it, but that if someone knows or gets this to Donald Trump, you said on television that you want to reunite the country. I want you to put your, those words to action. We will be out in force. We want to certainly support the future president of the United States, but we're a force to be reckoned with as a community. So, please hold your word, and let's be united.
Well, the problem is there's no one that's going to be able to keep him accountable because he's got a green light.
That's true.
He's got a green light.
Well,
Right.
He's got the majority in the Senate. There's nothing's gonna
The
get
House
overturned by the
too.
Senate. The
He
House
got
is.
everything. The Supreme Court says.
Supreme
So
Court.
he got all total powers. This is being so outrageous because there is always counterbalance, right? So there is always some kind of.
But we can fight the fight. We've done it before.
Do not underestimate the power of the citizen.
And we
This
can
is our
also,
country.
we can set up boycotts. We have supporters.
Boom. He
allies.
gonna hear us.
Absolutely.
He's going to hear us.
Absolutely.
We not gonna lick your wounds, get a thick skin, and then we gonna get back up because he gonna hear us.
Absolutely.
Larry, what's next?
And what's next? Next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. The R Fund provides $200,000 lifeline to 11 LGBT health and wellness programs. As the political landscape continues to impact queer lives, the R Fund Foundation is stepping up to offer crucial support. The foundation recently announced its 2024 Health and Wellness Fund grants, totaling $200,000 to back transformative LGBT-focused initiatives in both Broward and Miami-Dade counties. The grants will be distributed amongst 11 nonprofits at our reception at R Fund's headquarters in Wilton Manors on November 19th. Talking about the significance of these grants in the present time, David Joblin, president and CEO of our foundation, said, quote, "With Florida's anti-LGBTQ and anti-equality laws continuing to inflict harm on our community, it's more imperative than ever to provide responsive, relevant, and impactful grant making," end quote. The grant recipients include Alliance for LGBTQ plus Youth, offering mental health support for queer youth, and Sunshine Cathedral's food sharing outreach, aiding food insecure LGBTQ and HIV positive individuals. Other notable projects include Chainless Change, the Mackenzie Project's HOTS, HOTS, Buddy System, MIA, Alzheimer's Association, Jewish Community Services of South Florida, Trans Inclusive Group, the Pride Center at Equality Park, and Women with Pride, Ujima Men's Collective, Tapestry, Reclaiming Our Past, and Yes Institute. Each funded project addresses the distinct needs of South Florida's queer communities, focusing on mental health, food security, housing, senior care, and more. As election season concludes, the R Fund Foundation invites you to join them for a moment of reflection, resilience, and community renewal. Further details on these grants and the amazing work done by the R Fund can be found on therfund.org. Well, I think it's especially important right now. You have so many things going on, with our reactions to the election. I also have to say that, Florida's reaction to unhoused or homeless people is probably going to be more significant. I tell people up north that I see on my way going from Wilton Manors to downtown Fort Lauderdale every day, regular people who are unhoused. I've seen the numbers grow. I've seen some people be dispersed because of certainly they're not welcome in public places. So those are important. I think that these organizations, we need to support all the nonprofits. It's our strength. And as we said before, we need to fight in many different ways. And one of them is uniting and certainly not being divided within our communities, but also supporting our other communities, supporting not only LGBT, but our trans brothers and sisters and our allies as well.
We are very fortunate as an LGBTQ community in South Florida to have so many support groups out there working with us and for us. And not everyone in the country has that. And so maybe to the point that we've been making, if you see a need, maybe that's where you start the fight. Yeah. So if you're in Peoria and you don't have an LGBTQ support group, maybe that's your calling now, is to go out there, and that's how you're going to be politically motivated to change things.
Yeah, and mostly, the way I see it in the state of Florida, the way that we are going, and, cuts have been made in our budget to support several, initiatives within, the arts but I cannot help but to think that this is going to get worse. Now that they won every freaking office in the state of Florida, they feel empowered, and they're going to keep cutting services to the gay community so that we have people like the Our Fund, supporting the community is so meaningful. And yes, we are a community with means, and this is the time to step in and provide these funds.
There is validity in your concern, because the enemy has gotten more powerful as of last night. So to your point, Tai, it is imperative, if you have the resources, if you have the time, if you have the physical ability, if you feel like all hope is lost, I just implore you to find one of these organizations and contribute money or time, something. Just be in the space where you feel like you're helping your community.
Or if you need help, ask for it.
Exactly. It goes either way. If you need help, ask for it. If you want to help, there are resources for you to do so. Just be in that environment. Show up to these buildings. Say, I feel like all hope is lost and I just need some goodness in my life. And they will take you in gladly with open arms. So take your time. It's day one. Take a moment, take your time. I'm not rushing you. But when you are ready, there is something out there for you to do. And when you do that, I'll be so proud of you.
Yeah, propose. Next, let's square up trans rights. No one in the LGBTQ has more to lose and to fear than our tea. Nerves are running high as LGBTQ Americans get ready to accept elections results. But it is transgender Americans who are feeling particularly vulnerable. According to an emotional exchange shared by an out journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lemon, he met a 52-year-old transgender woman who expressed her concerns for both her safety and health care. She told Lemon, quote, "I'm nervous and afraid," explaining she was walking around to deal with nerves when they met. She said she's scared for her safety to come tomorrow. Her greatest worry centers on her ability to access essential medical care when former President Donald Trump and conservatives win as they vow to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which covers over 45 million people. The Trump campaign spent more than $50 million on anti-trans commercials and messages, the largest anti-LGBTQ presidential campaign expenditure in history. While she refrained from discussing her medical specific, she acknowledged the harsh impact of anti-trans policies pushed by Republican lawmakers who have already banned gender-affirming care for youth in 24 states. Expressing her fears, she said, quote, "I can't be in a situation where I can't get the medical care I need. I have children that need the same type of medical care and is threatened overly." End of quote. Her fears also extend to the perception of trans people in society, she revealed. Quote, "I'm mocked and made fun of. I'm bullied by one group. I'm the terrifying, scary transgender woman that your family warned you about in church." End of quote. This prompted the out journalist to embrace her in a hug. The LGBTQ community has put up a great fight this election year, but as it seems, it's not enough. Her story showcases the life of the trans community in the country at present, and the community certainly deserves better. And this is what we were talking. I mean, particularly the trans community is going to suffer majorly, and access to health care that is so needed in their case. They depend on this. So the situation is not looking good in terms of services, and that's when our community has to step in the way of these services and grants that will support the not only the trans community, but the LGBT community at large. The state of Florida probably is one of the states where this is most critical. So I hope we can address this in time.
And check in on your trans friends this week.
Yes.
Check in on them today, because I'm sure they're not okay. There was an entire campaign run on every level based on lies and fear of the trans community. And now they very rightly so are probably afraid. And it's devastating.
Yeah,
I think that you can...
No, and I had the opportunity to do some background acting on a project with Dana Davis, who some of you may know, and Candace Kane, called Diaper Doll. And, it's sad to think that may be a reality around the corner. So we really need to support Any messages out there, productions like Mary It's Mary Productions and Diaper Doll, that was a humorous account, but now here we are with Trump going into power and the Republican dominating, the laws of our country. We need to be strong, and we need to support not only our communities and our trans brothers and sisters, but also looking at our allies, cutting ACA. Personally, that would affect me. I'm at a point where I'm still working, and I have many working years, and it's too soon for Medicare. There's a big rumble out there that Medicare and Social Security is going to go away, and that's even bigger. So maybe we need to unite with those people affected as a gay community and sort of go outside of our comfort zone. And that's a big ask, but I think it's something we need to look at with our leadership in our communities.
And just like the last time that the Orange Woman was elected, the haters are emboldened now.
Yes.
They feel powerful, and that's when hate groups activate.
And just as an entertainer in the South Florida community, the small things that you can do, go to these shows where there's a cast of trans performers, tip them, make them feel celebrated and wanted and loved. And either before or after the show, make sure they get to their car safely, or make sure they get to the venue safely. Bolton Manors is a bubble where I can walk around looking like this and get cheers and all that good stuff. But when we're booked in South Florida, when we're booked in West Palm Beach and other areas, it doesn't feel as safe to walk from the vehicle, the car, to the venue, or to hop in an Uber where you don't know if you're going to get harassed or kicked out or lectured or worse. So show up to the events, support our trans brothers and sisters and non-binary, but also just physically make sure that they are safe as best you can. I'm not telling you to get into fights and start all that good stuff, but just keep an eye on them. Make sure if you can, offer to walk them to their car and back. Just small things like that so that they feel safe in this community for now, because things are uncertain. And to my trans family and friends, I love you so much. I love you so much. I'm here for you. I'm listening to you. Whatever you need, please broadcast it so we all know. And we are here to support you.
Absolutely. Next, let's queer up politics. Sarah McBride becomes first trans congresswoman in history. In an historic win, Sarah McBride has become the first out transgender person elected to the U.S. Congress. She is representing Delaware in the House of Representatives. McBride's victory over Republican John Whalen III with 57.6% of the vote marks a groundbreaking moment for trans visibility at the federal level. It is a crucial milestone for the queer community. This victory holds even greater importance considering 2024 is the election year and the country would want to see inclusion and diversity in the Senate. At just 34, McBride has already made waves. She served as the first trans intern in the Obama White House, became the first trans speaker at the Democratic National Convention, and won a seat at the Delaware State Senate in 2020. Through her online platform, she emphasizes healthcare, workers' rights, and reproductive freedom, while also bridging queer issues with wider public concerns. McBride's representation proves a first-hand perspective on trans issues, which is especially needed amid intensifying anti-trans rhetoric. By occupying a visible role in Congress, she offers her colleagues an opportunity to understand trans experiences, groundbreaking discussions in empathy rather than ignorance. McBride's election is a beacon for the queer community, signaling hope for a future where trans voices are not only heard, but respected on the nation's highest platform. And that's what's important about each of our representatives having the same voice in Congress. Her voice is going to be just as important as everyone else's, and she's going to have every right that every other congressperson has. That's very important.
Go ahead, Sarah, with your best self. So it's stories like these that should empower the trans community. Yes, there's a lot at stake. Yes, there's gonna be legislation that continues to put you in danger. But it's moments like these that we need to grasp onto. A trans woman who cares about her country, a country that thinks of her as a second-class citizen, has climbed the ranks and gotten herself a seat at the table. Mm-hmm. And when she is at the table, she may be the only trans person at that table, correct me if I'm wrong, but just know that she doesn't stand alone. There's an entire queer community standing with you, beside you, and next to you, Sarah. Thank you so much for continuing to fight. I can't even imagine all that you had to deal with going up through the ranks, but you made it there, girl. And we are so incredibly proud of you. We are saying it out loud. Congratulations, Sarah McBride. Thank you so much for all the hard work.
Yeah, no, and she represents many communities. She's also a millennial. I mean, a young, member of the House of Representatives. So this is important. We need to have representations for a new generation too. So the fact that she can, represent so many communities is important. I know she's coming from Delaware, and it seems like we have two different countries, right? When it comes to the blue wall, is that they call it, and where we basically are outside of that wall here in Florida. Mm-hmm. But I know things are changing, and probably will change in other states, and sometimes in the the least expected. Mm-hmm. So Sarah McBride is an example, and we celebrate you for sure.
Yes. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, you can go to hell.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with what Dino said. It's also important to encourage role models such as Sarah McBride and others in the trans community and LGBT community to be mentors, to encourage young people who are coming out, whatever their story is within our rainbow spectrum, to aspire to places, to serve in the government, to serve in roles that maybe traditionally people in our community have shied away from for fear of rejection or bullying. So please, mentor someone. I've been in human resources for over 30 years, and one of my greatest pleasures is mentoring people as they go into the workforce, no matter who they are in the world. And if we can do that within our communities, we're going to be that much stronger.
You have strong HR energy. Whether it's good or bad news, you would just deliver it so delicately.
Thank you. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's those blue eyes. Next, let's square up South Florida and Florida. Here are the big LGBTQ stories in election 2024. Today may be the most difficult day the American LGBTQ plus community has ever faced, the day after a presidential election. Shock waves resonate across every LGBTQ neighborhood in America, including Wilton Manors and Fort Lauderdale. Unlike Hillary Clinton in 2016, today's results seem so much deeper and more permanent in broad rejection of democracy, anti-women, anti-minority, anti-diversity, and an overall sea change for America. Here are the big picture stories. First, Trump is the first Republican in more than 2 decades that wins the national popular vote. In fact, Trump was far stronger even after all his legal challenges for the November 5th, 2024 election than his results in 2020. There are more than 1,300 counties in the USA, and Trump improved his voting numbers in more than 90% of those counties. Trump increased Hispanic support by a staggering 6%. Even more shocking, Trump increased young, under 30, support by 7%. Other significant issues may show why there was such strong Trump support. 34% of Harris voters said they were falling behind financially, but that number doubled with Trump voters to 63%. Overwhelmingly, the economy was the number one issue that led to support of Trump, and immigration was number 2. 75% of Trump voters said that this election put an end to legacy media. Florida was particularly difficult for LGBTQ supporters. Trump won Florida by the largest number in this millennium. Trump won by nearly 1.5 million votes. Activists told Queer News Tonight that they were not surprised South Florida's largest county, Miami-Dade, became red. But they were surprised by the huge number to make it solidly red. LGBTQ plus candidates largely went down in defeat, including trans candidates Nathan Broomer and Ashley Brundage. There were some rays of hope. Nationally, Tammy Baldwin held her Senate seat in Wisconsin, while Florida's first Black woman, Michelle Rayner, held her Florida House seat. History was made when Carla Smith became Florida's first ever Latino state senator. Fort Lauderdale's out-gay mayor Dean Trantelis and out-commissioner Steve Glassman held their seats. And a noteworthy state house race played out in the national spotlight on the fabled South Beach, Miami Beach. Equality Florida's Joe Saunders challenged incumbent Republican Fabian Basabe. Basabe defeated Saunders 51 to 47%. Now, I'm just going to make a stupid statement right now. A lot of conservatives that I've overheard are always clamoring about, if you want to make money, if you want success, build it on your own shoulders. It's all about you. We don't need to help or support or give money to those who don't want to work for it. But then you are vying and voting and rooting for the man that's going to get you more money. That don't make no sense to me. If you want to make your money, make your money. Don't let finance be the reason you are rooting or voting for this man, because you can make your own money, right? At least that's what you're saying. To me, that's what I'm hearing. Also, I'm hearing that on the blue side, or the liberal side, why, if you're looking at this and you didn't vote, in the comments below, please tell me, Bonnie Builder, why didn't you vote? What was the reason? You couldn't find a ride because there were resources. Even Lyft was giving away free rides to the polling stations. You couldn't decide. I mean, it's one or the other, a 50-50 split. You didn't think you had to. You didn't think it would matter. Clearly it matters. The last few elections have proven your vote does matter. So I need you to explain in the comments down below why, if you did not vote, please explain to us why you didn't. I just want to have a chat, a quick conversation.
I wanted to just focus on particularly on the Latino community, and in South Florida, in the county where I live, in Miami-Dade County, but I mean nationwide, because after what we've seen from Donald Trump and his campaign, his rhetoric against immigrants and minorities, and particularly lately, more recently, about Puerto Ricans who are Americans and treated as trash, as garbage, that some Latinos still find a reason to vote for this person is beyond my comprehension. I just don't understand how he could increase 6% his Latino vote after he has shown you his true colors. That's not gonna change. He's always been like that since the first time in 2015 when he came down that escalator at Trump Tower saying that Mexicans were rapists and criminals. He hasn't changed. So how do we analyze an increase in 6% of the Latino vote is beyond me. However, I do believe also that they play their strength pretty strongly when it comes to particularly Cuban radio and Latin radio in the Latin communities, and playing the boogeyman of the communism that is coming in the form of the Democrats. And this somehow the Democrats have not been able to work against. It happens elections tras elections, and we don't seem to address the power of the Latin media and addressing this issue, particularly when it comes to equating communism and socialism with the Democrats, and they seem to get away with it elections after election. So, and I'm not putting it on Kamala Harris, her campaign, Joe Biden the same way. We need to do something about this. This cannot continue happening, and then you just address the Latino community the last month before the election. This cannot happen. It has to be work way before, during the 4 year prior to elections. Latinos are not one block. You have to understand that we come from different realities, different socioeconomical status, different even racial backgrounds. We are not the same block that you think we are. So what works in Texas or in California doesn't work in Florida. You have to understand that we need to be addressed accordingly and with time, and a lot of work has to be put into this for things to change.
But yes to everything you're saying, but the racism within the Latino community
Correct.
is just as awful
Correct.
as it is in the white community against non-whites.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of non-brown Americans don't understand, right? Because we kind of lump brown people into the same category.
Because we think it's a block.
And so that's how the Democrats are, or that's why the Democrats are failing, and that's why the Republicans are succeeding. Because the Democrats, we haven't been able to get a hold on the term communism since McCarthy, right? It was totally taken away from any kind of reasonable conversation with McCarthy, and we've never ever been able to bring it back around to being, okay, well, what McCarthy was talking about wasn't necessarily the same communism that exists everywhere else in the world or at different parts of the world. And so all you got to do is say a trigger word. All you got to do is play into someone's racism about another community that you're familiar with, and all of a sudden now you're afraid, now you're ignorant enough to vote for the guy who's gonna lie to you and pretend that he's gonna.
But racism is not strange to Latin America.
No, and that's what I'm saying.
This exists in Latin America until we understand that we come to this country and those things are not left behind. We come with those hang-ups, and we need to understand, and politicians and their campaigns need to understand that there is racism within the Latino community, and we need to address that accordingly. We can't just think that because, oh, you're Latino, so, and not to put anybody down, but, Latinos that come from, Mexico, Central America, and even within Mexico, there are Latinos that come with, rich Mexicans and poor Mexicans, black Latinos, white Latinos, but we don't address that accordingly. And then we just wait until the last minute and then just say some words in Spanish and just it's not going to work.
But what I'm saying is that the Republicans capitalize on that. Why do you think it's the Haitians that are eating all the cats and dogs?
Right.
It's because if you're from Latin America, you can say, oh, I don't like the Haitians anyway.
Boom.
Yeah, but somehow the radio, because radio is very powerful in the Latino community.
Okay.
The Republicans have found the way to indoctrinate through radio in South Florida, and it's the same in California, in Texas. Latin radio is a powerful tool to them. How is that possible that it has not been a powerful tool to Democrats?
Right. These corny commercials that we see on TV all the time, they're working.
Yeah.
We may laugh at them and be like, what the hell is this? It's ridiculous. It's working on people, which is why they come in droves. That's why they keep pushing them. That's why we see them constantly. They may be corny to us and silly to us, but on the opposition, they are working. And that's why they're doing that. And on our side, we try to come in with reason and logic and stuff that we should be coming in with, but they don't want to hear that.
And those people that are escaping escaping communism in Cuba or in Venezuela, or, I'm Venezuelan, and, I feel that, I'm put in that same group. You come here and then somehow they sell you that this is the same thing. I live here for 30 years. I've seen, don't say it. But I've been here through Bill Clinton. I've been here through Barack Obama, 2 terms, and Joe Biden. And I haven't seen that with any socialism, communism coming through to America. But somehow they buy into it. Mm-hmm. And believe me, if something is positive about the Cuban community, is they vote. They mobilize. Yes, they're not staying home. They are not going to make the same mistake they made in Cuba. So when it's time to vote, they're going to go and vote. Mm-hmm. But guess what? They have been indoctrinated to voting for the boogeyman, the communism. And then they are going to make sure that they bring everybody to vote. And they do. And the Venezuelans are following pretty much closely with them too.
How do you feel?
To complement what everyone here said, there are 2 things. I think one of the things we need to do is encourage all of our cyber or computer tech people to really, in our community, LGBT plus community and allies, to really get a strong hold and be present with the evolution of artificial intelligence or AI. It scares the hell out of me what the potential is. Look at the propaganda. We had a candidate saying they're eating the dogs and cats in Ohio, and people were, I hate to say, eating it up, but that's literally what it was. But, we need to empower ourselves, not just, beyond what we traditionally do. We have very many intelligent people. We've had people who are inventors. I believe we had a person during, and I can't think of his name, so forgive me. We had an inventor during World War II who invented code.
Turing.
Thank you.
Alan Turing.
And then after that, he was kind of just shuffled off into a corner. We can't let that happen now. We need to empower ourselves, empower all of our people, and capitalize on all of our collective strengths, even more so. So artificial intelligence is something that I think we need to strongly look at. The possibilities can be great if it's used appropriately, but if it's used for evil in the Republican Party or other factions, it can be very detrimental. The other thing I want to say to people who may be watching, I have family who unfortunately voted for the other side, and not here in Wilton Manors, but We had many conversations, and I want to say, I love you, but I think the one thing you need to think about is if the things you promised wouldn't start happening, I hope you have our back and you change your mind. Don't say that, Donald Trump loves all the gays and lesbians and trans. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. He's playing to all the people out there that support him, and he'll do anything to sell his soul just to, be in power. So I hope you have our back, and, to the other people who voted for him, and you have friends who are LGBT plus or family, that you have their back, and, support us if anything changes. I don't want to be morbid, but you look at what happened during the Holocaust. You talk about, first they came for this one and then that one. I like to think that that's not going to happen. And again, I'll go back. I challenge you, President Trump, to making our country united. And please don't turn it into a company. When you converted the post office into a hotel, I thought that was stretching it from the White House.
Yeah, that's stupid. All right, Ty, go ahead.
Right. But anyhow, there'll be a McDonald's at the entrance.
Exactly.
But seriously, I challenge you to what you said and to hold your word. I hope that by the grace of God that you survived 2 assassination attempts, that you've learned the
lesson, or learned that
alleged assassination attempts, that you understand the value of all human lives, and that you truly bring our country together, and that we become a worldwide leader in the world, and that we can be great as a country, but also lead the world in peace and prosperity.
Larry, until we're here for the next election. Ty, go ahead.
As a nonprofit LGBTQ plus media organization, we would like to thank our viewers for supporting our mission to tell the stories of the queer community. We also thank the generous support of Jets Pizza. Jets is the LGBTQ plus community's most popular pizza in South Florida.
Take a look around these streets. Do you really think we woke up one day and said, yeah, the world needs more pizza? Nah, just a better one. Better, like the world's best pizza. Jet's Detroit-style pizza. Hand-pressed and baked to the thickest, crispiest crunch. You're welcome. Now visit jetspizza.com and save. Click on hot deals for special offers in your area. Jets, better because it has to be.
Next, we are part of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent sit here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Segment we call LGBTQ 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ minute, I can't talk today. LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up gay culture. Jonathan Bailey's short short steals the Wicked press conference. Jonathan Bailey has officially joined the ranks of, quote, attractive actor in short shorts, unquote, as he appeared at a Wicked movie photo call in Sydney. Bailey, who plays Fierro in a musical, appeared alongside stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. His pair of shorts has sparked fan frenzy, with one Twitter user saying, quote, "I'll tell you what's wicked, my thoughts about Jonathan Bailey's legs," end quote. Another fan gushed, quote, "Jonathan Bailey's everything, works for me," end quote, with Jeff Goldblum, Bowen Yang, and Michelle Yeoh also starring Wicked's first part releases on November 22nd, with part 2 arriving next year. Well, I'm excited to see it. I saw the original Broadway show 100 years ago, but I'm looking forward to this. Thank you, dear.
I think Jonathan got your tongue tied at the beginning of that statement. I think he was thinking about his kneecaps, his break-ass kneecaps. LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up drag culture. RuPaul's Drag Race finalist reveals amazing behind-the-scenes production secrets. Drag queens on Drag Race always expect RuPaul to pop up on their workroom screens in full drag, where Ru teases the week's challenge. However, as RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under star Art Simone recently shared with Melbourne drag performer Kat Zouthabag, RuPaul sometimes shows up in a tracksuit or doesn't appear at all. Quote, "Sometimes they just make you react to a blank screen. All our RuPaul videos for the first chunk of Down Under Season 1 were her out of drag just in a tracksuit because they hadn't been able to film them yet," end quote. Art Simone noted that in Down Under Season 4, whose first episode just aired, queens did see RuPaul in drag on the screen. However, they won't meet her in person this season, as Mama Ru has stepped down as host, passing the duties to Michelle Visage. I think this is a fun fact. It's something that we know because Ru is on the older end of the spectrum, like everyone at this table except for me. And kudos to her. The magic of movie making. Go ahead.
You can wear too much makeup too.
Child, go ahead.
Okay, LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up lesbian culture. Actress Chloë Grace Moretz comes out of glass closet. Actress Chloë Grace Moretz officially came out as gay while also announcing an endorsement for Kamala Harris for president. She wrote, quote, "As a gay woman, she believes in the need for LGBTQ legal protections." She added, quote, "I voted early and I voted for Kamala Harris," end quote. She also expressed her stance on women's bodily autonomy. Moretz have been a familiar face in the queer community, often called a glass closet star, and has been publicly dating Kate Harrison since 2018. Harrison recently shared a photo of them attending NYC's Dyke March. Her support for Harris and coming out publicly is making her fans happy. Good for you, Chloe. You look beautiful with your girlfriend.
LGBTQ plus 1 minute news. Let's queer up the USA view. Gays in America say Steve Kornacki is the most popular voice of 2024 election. While we were sad over the election results, LGBTQ America loved who delivered them. Out, Steve Kornacki, MSNBC's beloved data analyst, is America's hottest election voice. In a year with intense races across the Senate, House, and presidency, MSNBC promos featured Kornacki and Rachel Maddow, a lesbian, and they won hearts. Yesterday, too, Kornacki was ready with sleeves rolled up to break down the voting numbers. His popularity even reached NBC's Jimmy Fallon, who told him, quote, "You have giant fans, rabid fans. People love Steve Kornacki," end quote. He first gained attention in 2020 with his khakis, boyish charm, and knack for making data exciting, landing at number 13 on People's Sexiest Man Alive list. Polls show he's the most popular election broadcaster. Now, fans eagerly follow his every move, debating his iconic wardrobe and celebrating his authenticity. And election 2024 didn't disappoint. Kornacki helped break the news of Trump's win as we watched him figure out Wisconsin voting totals and suggest at 5:31 a.m. that Trump is going to win the state to give Trump the election. 1 minute later, NBC and other networks declared Trump the president-elect. Social media today reflected on the irony of a gay man being the first to conclude anti-LGBTQ Trump would be president of the United States again. It's amazing to me that a Gap ad is what we're all fetishing on.
Y'all love white men today. Go ahead.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and in sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Bonnie Builder, obviously. And on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Dino Mosquera, Larry Farver, and Dr. Tai Houser, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ world, we wish you good night.
Good night.